knowing how to communicate is important for leadership.
Yes, Becky, this is Evan!
Hi.
How are you?
I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
How are you?
Good, good.
Did you get that award?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, what are your questions? No. They decided
Hello.
they don't want to write in courses.
I do. Okay. Wait, I'll take it. After the last couple of years, I can talk. Like, I feel like I got super vaccinated for something. I just got my booster like at the start of the week.
Did it happen?
It did.
Not to be honest with you, I was like, oh, they still have it. I did not get it.
It was really fun to read. Because you know, I
Me too, and I didn't react at all to
Me too.
So I was kind of surprised. Okay, I want to hug. I definitely want to hug.
So you are
Did the 8 a.m. right? So that series of offers press.
Let's just say I'm here. And one thing I'm going to ask is that folks could sort of sit kind of over here because we are going to be watching, and I just want to, yeah, kind of over here a little bit more.
Over there?
Yeah.
okay.
Do we need
I'll need writing. Some markers if you want. There you go. Hello, how are you? All right. I realized I grabbed nice paper too.
Yeah, you did.
I thought it was really lovely. Oh.
I'm going to go ahead and get us started. To kind of get us started, we're going to do a short activity. To start that activity, on your sheet of paper, I would like you to write a 3-word story about Phyllis. A 3-word story about Phyllis. And you can write it with any writing utensil you have, but I like color and markers because they make me happy, so I packed some. And so if you would like colorful markers, raise your hand, pass them around.
I'll just take one. One marker. Any color, not color. Thank you.
If you like a marker.
Sure.
All right. Any other markers? I want to play too. Three-word story about Phyllis Carlin. On the back side of your paper, don't want to write. Write where and how you came to know Phyllis. Okay? Where and how you came to know Phyllis. And if you know like a date, you can put the date too. We're doing an activity. Are you joining us?
No, I was
All right,
just to check out.
Oh, we're good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I just came to check on
You can also take a marker and join us. All right. Oh, you can. So, and I can collect the markers afterwards too. What I would like us to do is doing this kind of as non-verbally as we can to show where and how you met Phyllis and to arrange ourselves in the room, creating kind of a timeline of Phyllis in this space. Okay? And once we sort of create our timeline, I'm going to have us read our 3-word stories. Okay? Hello, welcome. So, go ahead and kind of show, get you caught up here. We are writing down 3-word stories on one side, and on the other side, where you about Phyllis, and on the other side, where and when you came to know her.
Can I have a marker?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, so here's like chronological.
So kind of show and start to rearrange yourselves into like a sort of timeline of how the room came to know Phyllis. However we want. It could be a line, it could be a circle. I like kind of the idea of a circle. I'm after you, for sure. Oh, Feel free to insert yourself into the timeline somewhere. We can spread out into the I like it. Can I move? Oh. Would you mind starting us, Fred, with your 3-word story on the back?
Oh,
Yeah.
Marianne sings Ozymandias.
That shows that. Joyce Carol Oates.
Inspires student storytelling. Farm stories cultivated.
Mentor to giants.
Listen to places.
Home to Kirksville.
Listens and connects.
Farm girl academic.
Tourism Prairie Companion.
Creator of the food.
Made it black.
All right, thank you all. You can take a seat. Thank you all for playing and for telling. To tell and to participate in telling through performing and bearing witness is to further the struggle to resist annihilation, to enhance and to critique community memory, and as always, to honor those who suffer, those who cannot speak, and those who can never come home. This quotation was taken from Phyllis, Carlin, and Linda Park Fuller's piece, Disaster Narrative Emergencies. Phyllis was born on October 23, 1949 in Kirksville, Missouri. She attended Truman State University where she received her MA, and then she headed to Southern Illinois University to get her PhD.
In looking back over my teaching years and the wonderful people I have met, if I were giving out awards today, as I did at the end of each school year, I would give you an award for being the most level-headed and strong-minded student I have ever taught. And all of this packaged in a quiet and delightful demeanor. Marianne Kleiner.
Phyllis taught at UNI for 39 years, retiring in 2015. She was a member of NCA, PEO, and founded the UNI's Interpreters Theater. Phyllis was loved and respected in the communication department. Students appreciated her well-researched knowledge and her personal interest in projects and career paths.
I'm proud to say that I'm using some of the qualitative skills you taught me. I remember your classes fondly. Ryan Crane, Des Moines, Iowa. But you taught through your silence. You listened, you taught through your guidance. You kept your door open. Gave me time with assignments without hesitation, and always made time for good conversation. Dorad Taylor.
She researched and published articles in language analysis, family stories, the farm crisis, disaster narratives, and other topics in performance studies.
From I Have to Tell You, the unfolding of performance stories in live performance. Interviewees are capable of sharing the process of interpretation. Indeed, to collect their life experiences without their reflections upon the meaning of their narrative eliminates an essential component of both respectful and insightful analysis.
This panel honors and bears witness to our beloved colleague, Phyllis E. Scott Carlin. Through story, poetry, and performance, we invite you, and you have began, to tour Phyllis Carlin's legacy. We're going to begin with a video, and then we're going to move to some prepared in-person tributes, and then we're going to open it up to anyone else that would like to share memories. So welcome to Telling Her Way Home, a tribute to Dr. Carlin.
conversations and tying literature into understanding place and having a place, and not just a dwelling or somewhere to go, but in a sense of belonging. And she also emphasized that context with family and the importance of heritage and legacy. Her classes taught me to cherish every single moment we have with family and to be present, to understand that any moment is just that, a moment in time. It's something you cannot take back. To this end, I'd like to introduce you to somebody. This is my great-grandmother, Marie Overgag, and she just turned 100. 100! And this year, actually, she lives out in California. This is my great-grandfather, Hank. And unfortunately, Hank passed away just a couple of years ago, and they had just celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary. So we went this summer to California, which was awesome. It's warm, to celebrate her 100th birthday among tons of family and friends that I hadn't seen in years or had never met. And she got to meet both my toddler daughter, who also carries her name, and so her great-great-granddaughter. And then we also got to share with her great news of expecting another Christmas baby yet this year. So I always like to think that just like Phyllis would have recommended, I've been collecting letters from my great-grandmother. I started writing her handwritten notes years and years ago, probably 10 or 15 years ago, and I keep them. I keep everything from the envelopes that have her beautiful handwriting on them to the actual letters that she sent over the years. You can see there's many, many, many. And you know, these of course are my favorite. There's really rich stories she tells about who she is and her legacy and her place in this family. And I loved and continue to love learning about my great-grandmother. But you know, I keep these things and this correspondence from her and cherish them deeply. And not just the content, but for things like her beautiful handwriting, a person you just don't see anymore, and the happiness she writes about when she responds to when I send her pictures of comings and goings of our life out in Iowa, when she doesn't have social media or a laptop. So I mean, it's those pictures, they tell a story, and I share stories with her back in each one. But I think about Phyllis when I think about place and family, and why I keep what I keep, and trying to be present any moment that I have with family, extended or otherwise. And when I do think about place and family, and the legacy that Phyllis left, I'm reminded that those are the moments, these are the moments, and the letters that I'll read to my children about their great-grandmother and her legacy. And to that end, I miss Phyllis dearly. We had lots of conversations about place and family and other things. And I will forever remember her teachings and carry them with me in my own legacy throughout my life. Thank you so much.
I want to give a tribute to Dr. Phyllis Carlin, who was my colleague for many, many years at the University of Northern Iowa, and also was my neighbor in Waverly, Iowa. Dr. Carlin never claimed the word mentor for me, but for me, she was a mentor and the ultimate colleague. I realized early on in my career as an assistant professor at the University of Northern Iowa how much I needed her and needed someone like her who had such integrity and such wisdom that she could, and compassion, that she could speak into the life of most anyone, and they could be transformed if they listened to what she said. One of my earliest memories was when she came in to observe a class of mine, and that was the way that our teaching was looked at as assistant professors, and we were observed, and I remember not feeling good about that particular class and thinking, I wish I had a chance to do a redo. And I decided that I would take the risk. I didn't know Phyllis really well at that point, but I decided I would take the risk and go down to her office and just talk to her a little bit about my concerns about what happened in the classroom. I think at the time, if I remember right, I was doing mainly a lecture, not really having the students though she's gone on, her physical presence is not with us, she is still with me every day when I go into the classroom. And when I am working with students and with other faculty who also may be needing a word of advice or wisdom that could be given in a compassionate way. So thank you for those of you who put this together for this wonderful, wonderful human being.
My name is Jennifer Freitag, and Dr. Phyllis Carlin was my teacher and mentor. There are two things that come to mind when I reflect on my many interactions with Phyllis over the years. And the first was her capacity to really see people and the wisdom that she would impart based on her capacity to do that. The second was the way that she modeled focusing on what is most important in life, and that is people. I think that she certainly did this in her research within communities that were dealing with lots of crises situations. She certainly really connected with us in the classroom and research projects. And perhaps most importantly, she really modeled for me the importance of prioritizing the relationships with the people who were closest to you in your life. So I thought I would share a song that I think embodies her area of research, but also invites us in to think about the importance of relationships in the midst of the challenges that we face throughout our lives. The song is called Trouble in the Fields by NCA. Baby, I know that we've got trouble in the fields. The bankers swarm like locusts out there, turning when we are here. The trains roll by our silos, silver in the rain. We leave our pockets full of nothing but our dreams and the rain. And we see the folks in line there downtown at the station. They're buying all their tickets out and talk the Great Depression. Our parents had their hard times 50 years ago, when they stood out in these empty fields and dust as deep as snow. There's a book up on the shelf about the Dust Bowl days, and there's a little bit of you and a little bit of me in photos on every page. Now our children live in a city and they rest upon our shoulders. They never want the rain to fall or the weather to get colder. And all this trouble in our fields, if this rain can fall, these folks believe they'll never take our native soil. But if we sell that new John Deere, then we'll work these crops with sweat and tears. You'll be the mule, I'll be the plow. Come harvest time, we'll work it out. There's still a lot of love here in these troubled fields. You'll be the mule, I'll be the plow. Come harvest time, we'll work it out. There's still a lot of love here in these troubled fields.
So I'm going to share with you a poem that was written by Dr. Karen Mitchell, who couldn't be here today, but of course sends her love to you all. It's called Prairie Harvest. You were born at harvest time on the backs of geese, just as the crops were carried to market, the fruit of months of labor. From the start, the prairies call your name, and in the fields of Missouri you played, roamed, and read of settlers who labored on the land. the earth on your hands, under your nails, in your blood. You followed the prairie winds to Iowa, where families waited to tell their stories of foreclosure, floods, failed crops, farm accidents that took an arm or leg and always broke the heart. Heavy, heavy labor. Like a midwife, you coaxed the stories into life, guiding them to sunlight, always listening, always reflecting back to the fertile kernels of truth. This is your life work, your heavy labor, your way of returning to the land that which was the land. And when the geese returned for you that golden fall, you answered their call, rising to the skein against the azure sky. Next, Ryan McGee will share a tribute written by Dennis Doyle.
Hello everyone. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I really appreciate this opportunity to participate in the celebrations with Phyllis, her life, contributions of her career, to so many of us in the discipline of communication studies. I regarded Phyllis as an important teacher, mentor, and friend, someone I miss every day. I arrived at the University of Northern Iowa in the fall of 1977 as a sophomore undergraduate student planning on taking the forensics world by storm, while also on my path to becoming a high school teacher in the state of Iowa. I think this was Phyllis's second year at UNI as a new PhD out of SIU. She immediately had an impact on me as I was cast in what I believe was her first Reader's Theater production, Scandinavian Folk Tales, where she introduced me to a world of creative opportunities in group performance. I think it is often true that undergraduates don't fully appreciate the knowledge and expertise of their professors at the time when they're studying. I know I certainly didn't when it came to Phyllis. It wasn't really until many years later, when I was a first-year graduate student at the University of North Texas in 1985, that I realized Phyllis was an accomplished scholar and innovator in the quickly evolving field of oral interpretation and performance studies. I attended a conference in Texas that summer where Phyllis presented important research related to her ethnographic work with Iowa farm wives during the farm crisis of the early 1980s. Her presentation created a lot of interesting dialogue at the conference, and it was one of the first research projects which explored the intersection between ethnography, personal narrative, and social context theatrical performance. I remember feeling great pride at that conference and being able to say I was her former student. I attended SIU for my PhD partially because it was where Phyllis had studied. I was eager to learn from those who had taught her. As many of you know, Phyllis was very loyal to former students and was always available to talk and offer guidance and encouragement. I came to really value those conversations, and I miss them to this day. When I began my career at Central College, I reconnected with Phyllis, and my admiration for her grew as I came to know more and more former students who shared similar experiences of support and encouragement. A significant part of her personal and professional legacy is the impressive list of former students who continue to influence and shape education in Iowa and the discipline of performance studies. In retirement, Phyllis started a group discussion of former students who would gather in Cedar Falls to discuss readings and topics related to performance. It was always a stimulating experience for all of us and a really rewarding opportunity to gather with others who benefited from teaching. I'm sure many of you can relate to my experience where often in my own classroom I could sense Phyllis's teachings and spirit emanating from my voice and actions. Good teachers and their impact stay with you forever. That's how I feel about Phyllis. Through her creative classroom teaching, effective mentoring, groundbreaking scholarship, and unconditional friendship, I am thankful to have had the opportunity to know Phyllis and benefit from our relationship. Thank you again for this amazing opportunity to share my reflections and participate in celebrating the life and career of this amazing person.
Heidi, Evan, John, and Ryan.
I just don't want to sit behind them. But I'm sorry, I need to know how to talk.
Thank you for your your patience with the volume on the video. I should have invited the tech guy to stay.
I am 99% sure that I met Phyllis in the early 1990s, around 1992, when I was a doctoral student at ASU, and there was an HIV/AIDS narrative conference. I met a lot of faculty at that moment who I had not met before from all over the country. And I'm pretty sure that we had a couple of conversations and that I was struck by something in her eyes, her kindness, her gentleness, but I did not know her well. But I did know that she had a huge influence on interpretation and performance studies students at UNI. So then flash forward 20 years, and I'm editor of TPQ, and I received a manuscript from Phyllis and from Linda Park Fuller that was analyzing this genre